process of sort of building content on the site?
Yeah, well, we believe from the get-go that that was important. To create a brand and destination, you had to really invest in product, and our product initially was just content. There wasn't, some tools and things, but it was really content. So we, one of my co-founders was, and is, just one of the best editors in the world, and he was able to not only create a great environment, but attract a lot of great writers to create content for us. And then that built on itself, because once we had that kernel of high-quality content, we got experts to contribute their content, community members to contribute their content, but it started with a heavy investment. I think if you're Facebook, you can get everybody to create their own content, but it's harder if you're not. And so we just said, hey, even though it was kind of counter cool in 2007 to say we're going to be a content company, it served us really well.
And was it sort of the trusted advisor kind of role that you were taking with that content?
Well, I wouldn't say trusted advisor as much as trusted brand. We wanted to be the trusted brand in the space, so when someone come to Carry.com, they could feel like they're getting good information, that they're in a safe place with people that understand them, and then that would help them.
Nick?
On the topic of brand, how early did you get the domain, and how important do you think that was in terms of the brand? Early
and important. So yeah, so we spent a lot of time when we started the company. We had a working name that wasn't our brand name. It's still in some of our legal documents, but we really knew we wanted a big brand, and we spent a lot of time with naming agencies and researching, and finally we were able to find someone that had this domain that wasn't using it, and she was in Kentucky, and worked out flew out and talked to her and told her what we're doing, and she got excited about it. So we were able to get this early in our days, and it's been a big help. So I think a name's really important, the brand's really important.
Do you think there are other companies that are sort of the clicks business in the senior world hasn't really taken off? There hasn't been that many traditional Silicon Valley companies that have massive numbers of page views, and you have, relatively speaking to the other startups that we've been speaking with, large numbers of page views. Are you the exception, or do you think other companies are going to be able to get volumes of page views and eyeballs when it comes to this market segment?
Yeah, I think there will be a lot of people that will get big eyeballs because it's just a growing market. I think the surprise to me is I was a caregiver in my 40s, and I thought, boy, there's going to be a lot of people like me, and I'm a decade younger. Your typical caregiver is taking care of someone in their 80s and 90s, and they're in their 60s, so they're just not as it's not as viral with that group. So it's growing. But we still we have a lot of Earthlink email addresses and AOL email addresses, and we get emails in all caps. We're starting to see our mobile go up, but it's probably, there were a bunch of companies that tried this in the last bubble and cratered because they're just too early, and I would say we're still early.
You talked about how large the pie is. I would be interested in your thoughts on how companies like A Place for Mom is positioned relative to Caring.com, and also Care.com's senior channel, how they're positioned relative to how you're positioned.
Yeah, it's not a positioning. They're very different companies. So Care.com is a database of hourly caregivers, and you pay them $30 a month, and you can access their database, and they've got nannies and dog walkers and tutors and elder care caregivers that they say are different people, but maybe the same people in their database, and so they're selling access to that database. And then Place for Mom is a referral service. They don't really have much of a site. You call an 800 number and they match you to a senior living provider that pays them. And our model is we're a consumer resource. We're building a relationship with a consumer. We're helping them with information along their caregiving journey, and then we also have access to senior living providers, but it's different. We're not a placement source or a care database.
All right, maybe time for one.
Yeah, I was listening to my favorite sports show the other day, and on comes advertisement for A Place for Mom. So I'm kind of interested when you say things are early. But we're already seeing somebody like that, penetrate into what I would call, good old boy consumers.
Yeah, it's great. I love those guys because they're a $100 million business. They've got a 4% market share in an early market. So there's a lot of room for other people in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. Andy, thanks so much.
Yeah.